Rose McGowan has never been one to turn away from her demons. She was among those who spoke up against convicted rapist Harvey Weinstein and helped spur the #MeToo movement into existence. She has also spoken up about the abuses she suffered at the hands of Marilyn Manson, claiming that, in her words, he brainwashed and manipulated her into submission. But the actress, who is most famous for starring in horror and grindhouse movies, is a longtime survivor of abuse. As a child, she was born into the Children of God cult, a free-love hippie dream gone horribly wrong, one that still exists to this day as the Family International. As a child, McGowan recalls her idyllic earliest years growing up in pastoral settings like the Florentine countryside where she was born. At the same time, she felt different from her peers. She later recalled, "I came out of the womb waving red lipstick." She has contrasted this against the dressed-down look adopted by her so-called cult sisters. When she looked at them, she thought, "I did not want to be like those women. They were basically there to serve the men sexually." For the first 9 years of her life, McGowan grew up in the Children of God commune, originally formed in 1968 as Teens for Christ by preacher David Brandt Berg, who died in hiding in 1994. While the cult grew to 10,000 members during the 1970s, girls as young as 9 or 10 were targeted for sex. Rose McGowan wasn't the only celebrity reared in the Children of God either. Award-winning actor Joaquin Phoenix was born into it too. Neither of them blamed their parents, though. Phoenix said to ET Online, "Cults rarely advertise themselves as such. It's usually someone saying, 'We're like-minded people, this is a community.' But I think the moment my parents realized there was something more to it, they got out." In a similar fashion, McGowan told Interview magazine, "My father ran the Italian chapter, and from the outside it would be considered strange, but if you grow up in it, it's normal. I suppose all children are at the mercy of their parents."
My father, who was a pretty amazing human, but his great failing was male ego, and that he needed to be worshipped, and he called himself God with a small g.
Members were recruited into Children of God by a tactic dubbed flirty fishing, which involved ordering women in the group to recruit men through sex. Members who didn't comply were themselves tortured and raped. At best, the Children of God turned a blind eye to a number of sexual crimes against children. At worst, it actively encouraged them.
If you're asked and you refuse, you're going to be labeled selfish, unloving, uncaring.
But McGowan made it out before any of that happened to her. She later explained, "I was not molested because my dad was strong enough to realize that this hippie love had gone south." McGowan was 9 years old when she and her father escaped Children of God, and she later described the ordeal to Newsweek, saying, "We had to leave on the sly. My dad, her stepbrother, her stepsister, and I escaped with my dad's other wife in the middle of the night. I remember running through a cornfield in thunder and lightning, holding my dad's hand and running as fast as I could to keep up with him." She continued, "We hid in an old stone house and had to boil pots of hot water to take baths. The cult sent people to find us. I remember a man trying to break in with a hammer." Not all members of Children of God were so fortunate, however. Cult member Ricky Dupuy committed suicide after being ordered to rape a 10-year-old girl, while another named Josh took his own life 3 years after escaping. The son of founder David Brandt Berg himself, Ricky Rodriguez, later committed suicide after murdering his abuser. McGowan herself acknowledges how fortunate she was to escape, saying, "There's a trail of some very damaged children that were in this group. As strong as I like to think I've always been, I'm sure I could have been broken. I know I got out by the skin of my teeth." If you or someone you know is struggling with domestic abuse, please call or chat online with the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233.